Hey friends! Laura A. Grace here, the author of Dear Author, Letters from a Bookish Fangirl, Team Lines of Poetry Collection, and Fighting God Anime Devotional for Otakus, which is free on a variety of platforms. I'll leave a link down below in case if you'd like to check it out. Happy Friday, my friends! I am so excited that you are here. And I was thinking this morning before filming this video, I was like, I really need to come up with something else because I feel like in every single video I say I'm so excited. And I genuinely am, but I'm like, I feel like, changing it up would be good and finding another way to say and reflect how excited I am for today's video review because yes, I have been waiting for a chance to talk about this series. I've talked about it a little bit, but before I even get into what the series is, I want to do a shout out to Maeve at Maeve Ever Reading because she actually recommended this to me and put it on my radar, and I can't say I probably would have picked it up otherwise if she hadn't given me a recommendation for it. She was the same friend that shared One Week Friends with me and High School Debut. All of her recommendations have been absolutely amazing. There is one more. I had it from my library, but unfortunately I had it too long. Had to go turn it back in, and have not checked it back out so I could read it, finish reading it, I should say, because I think I got halfway through volume 1. But anyway, we are talking about this series, and I just want to say thank you so much, Maeve, if you're watching this video. Thank you for this recommendation, friend. It was amazing. And if you're curious about what that manga is, it is Rozi in the Labyrinth. It is so cute. Look at our main girl here. Her name is Rozi. So sweet. She's adorable on every single cover. Like, oh my goodness. She is just so wholesome and so precious. And this cover here, this is by far my favorite out of all three of them. Before this one, it was definitely volume 2. I really like this one, and plus it has Jack, and Jack is one of my favorite characters. I love Jack. I wish Jack was real and I could go like on a lunch date with him. It'd be so cool. Our conversation would probably be absolutely hilarious because of him. But I love Jack, and I think Rozi is super cute. And the first volume is also very fun, and I love how this first volume really reflects how creative and how imaginative and just how fun this series is. But in case if you're not familiar with Rozi in the Labyrinth, it is about, like I said, our main girl here, Rozi, but not just Rozi. These guys over here, oops, sorry, my finger's in the way. These guys here in Chemin are her family. So you have Chemin here, Mur, and then you have Kay. And they all live in the Labyrinth, and they basically solve different kinds of mysteries that are going on, looking into things, doing different discoveries, and generally just having a very fun time, I think. Well, at least for Rozi. I'm not sure if I could speak that for everybody, but definitely Rozi, who just loves and adores this labyrinth so incredibly much. But like with most labyrinths, you have to be careful. They can be very dangerous places, and Rozi hasn't quite learned just how dangerous they can be. So that is the premise of Rozi. There is, again, like I said at the beginning, so much creativity that goes into this series. It is just a wild ride. It's so much fun. Like, this is the Caravan Corridor, I believe is the name of it. This is like at the bottom, and it's just so magical. And not only that, there's other places that are up above that are equally beautiful. I'm going to try and find, this is a fun one. This is not necessarily a good scene, but you have a whole bunch of doors, and that was an interesting and fun scene. I really like that one. I missed the cool part. I wanted to show where, yeah, I'm in volume 1. I think I was like, I'm in volume 1, right? When, here we go, I'm almost there. Let's see, here we go. Look at this page right here. Look at it. Oh my goodness, I love all those fish, and Rozi here just goes on all these kinds of different adventures as she goes exploring, which there's a lesson to be learned there as she is exploring all of these incredible and amazing places, because when you're reading this story, you see it through the eyes of Rozi, and it just makes the labyrinth that much fun, or that much cooler of a place, I should say, because there's just so much excitement there. And I really enjoyed the author's note at the end and them talking about just how this series was inspired and how they went to a foreign city and just how, yeah, strange and mysterious things felt, and seeing all the different roads and alleys and where they went. It is so very magical, so very magical. I want to say a lot about this volume, but I actually did a video review over at Beneath the Tingles specifically on volume 1 and all of my thoughts, because this does remind me of Witch Hat Atelier. I think that's how you say that. In that the main character really captures that childlike joy and that childlike excitement and just really makes you smile and seeing something that could be dangerous or I wouldn't say harmful. We'll just leave that at dangerous, not harmful. That means two different things, Laura. But seeing how a place like this could be very dangerous and that people are not always good, so to speak, and that people could bring harm or that they could bring danger and make it into something where it just feels like a little bit of a safer place. And if it's not safer, at least you know you're going to have a very fun time. And thankfully, our three guys here are always looking out for Rozi. This is Chemin. I feel like he's the guardian of Rozi, but I feel like he's almost no, I'd say Kay is more of like the father-like figure, but Chemin is sort of, I feel like, the head leader of the family, and I love Chemin so much. He is definitely one of my favorite characters as well. He's very cool. I mean, there's so much more to him than that, but he has cat-like qualities, like physical cat-like qualities, and it just makes him all that more appealing. I mean, not just physically, but just as a character and just his mannerisms. He is just a great and exciting character, though I will say in Volume 2 when we talk about it, this will be no spoilers, by the way, but in Volume 2 that I was a little bit wrecked when it came to his storyline, just a little bit, and I knew it was coming, but I really, really loved him and just how serious he takes his responsibilities and how much he loves and cares for his family. It's also interesting to see him have this mysterious, like, backstory, back stuff where we don't really know a lot about him, so it makes him even more interesting as a character. And then we have Mur, who is the older brother, and Mur is so precious. He's such a sweetheart. He's very quiet. He seems very calm, but there's times where he definitely gets anxious, but he really fulfills, I think, the big brother role, and I love his relationship with Rozi, and just, it is so good. Mur really was an unexpected character for me because when you first meet him compared to how he is at the end, he has so much character development. It was very amazing, and I was just very impressed and very surprised. Like, Mur, he grew so very much. I'm so proud of Mur. I really, really am. And then last but not least, we have Kay, who is an interesting doll-like figure. His story is very, very interesting. I like Kay because he's definitely like, I forget the name that another character gave him, but he's very protective. He's very soft-hearted, and he just loves his family so very much, and he's outspoken about protecting them, but sometimes he's quick to get either agitated or angry, not in a mean way, but just in a way where he is just showing how much he loves and cares for this family. Like, he is so precious. He is another fun character as well, and just having them all together is absolutely great. I love this family so much, and I love how family really plays a strong role through this series. I mean, it is so beautiful and it is so well done. I mean, I feel like the found family trope is one that just, hopefully not just for me, but for a lot of people, I know especially for me, that I just cannot get enough of because it is so beautiful. I mean, as you see that when people come to the Labyrinth, there's not always a lot of hope in this place, and many times you can see people just are fighting to cling to their humanity because when they come into the Labyrinth, they're usually, try to think, there's so much there, but you could come in there because you accidentally sort of wandered into this place or you're searching for something. But usually if you're at the Labyrinth, there's a chance that you will lose your humanity, and when you fully lose your humanity, then you sort of basically more or less die. There is some mystery where, like, yes, the lore of the Labyrinth is explained, but it's still like, I feel like it leaves a little bit to your imagination and how you sort of interpret what the Labyrinth is. Because there are things that are spoken in Volume 3 that made me curious as to what is exactly the Labyrinth. And this volume was interesting. I didn't love the second quarter, or like the last quarter of this volume in Volume 2, because it was an interesting, I don't know, I'm not sure how to finish that sentence. I think it's because I didn't know where it was going, to be honest. I was like, I don't know why we need to learn this information and how this information is going to help us going into Volume 3. Because for all of Volume 1 and at least the first half of the second volume, it's just fun slice of life with Rozi and her experiencing the Labyrinth and her meeting new people and going on, sometimes having these like almost dangerous adventures as well. And so her family having to come help her and her learn more about the Labyrinth, but her joy is so infectious and just you just can't help but love Rozi in this series. Anyway, sorry, I feel like I got like off topic there. But yes, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about the Labyrinth and how there is lore that is explained about what the Labyrinth is. Now, I'm not going to talk about all of that because that's spoilers, and some of those things you don't even find out until the third volume. But I think I didn't, like I said, I didn't love the last quarter of this because I didn't know where it was going, but I guess it made me sad. I was pretty emotional the day I read this. I don't know why, but I just was. And it made me sad to when they're talking, they're having a conversation and we're finding out some things. This isn't a spoiler, but there was one specific conversation and one of the people makes a comment about how they were really angry at the gods and they felt that the gods had forgotten them. And I was just like, no, you haven't been forgotten. You haven't been forgotten. I don't know why they're in the labyrinth. I don't know why they're stuck here and if there's a way out, because I was sort of hoping that by the third volume that maybe it would be something I was thinking. I can't say I was thinking because that'd be like a major spoiler, but it wasn't what I was thinking. But it was just hard seeing them. But there's a very beautiful message in this story that I absolutely love, and probably is what actually made me most emotional, especially in that quarter, because even if the last part of it wasn't my favorite, the theme of hope is so beautiful. And I feel like that this manga, this series just reminds me that despite all of the negativity we may see, like say on social media or on the news, that does not define all of humanity. Like, no, there are quote unquote good people out there. And by what I mean is people like how you see in this story, where people who genuinely love other people just because, not because that person's giving them anything, but just because they want to care for them, just because they want to love them. And oh, Rozi just shows that so much. She shares so much hope with these people, not just because she's happy, but because she's joyful. I mean, every time you hear somebody say, I hate the labyrinth, Rosie's coming right back and saying, I love the labyrinth. It is an amazing place. And I'm glad, I don't know if she says I'm glad I'm here, but through her actions, she's just grateful to be with her family, to be in a place where she can genuinely share hope and share light. And talking about that, this book has, or this series has an incredible messages, themes of light versus darkness, hope, how light defeats the darkness every single time. It is so beautiful. And I don't know, I feel like that just resonated so much with me that it's never in vain to hope. It's never in vain to love and never in vain to have faith. When we have these things, good things happen. It's like I said, it's just never in vain. It's never a lost cause. And Rozi continues to just share that and show that. That doesn't mean things are easy by any means, as we see in the third and final volume. If book one started out really happy and really fun, Volume 3 brings all of the feels. I definitely cried because it was just very emotional. I wouldn't say I sobbed, but yeah, I had tears coming down because I was like, oh my goodness, I just don't know what's happening. Well, I know what's happening, but I didn't expect this to be the outcome of a certain thing. But again, hope was never in vain. Never, ever, ever. And so I love that. I feel like this manga is like a gift to the world saying, light always wins. Don't give up on hope. Don't give up on love. Don't give up on faith. These three things I feel are just the heart of Rozi. And I have to be so careful of what I'm saying at this point because there are just things that unfold that happen in this last volume that are so incredibly moving. And like I said, they just fulfill that truth so beautifully and so strongly. And there was a good twist in this one. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, didn't expect that. No, I didn't. Like, oh my goodness. It was I must say very different. It was different. I just didn't see that. But I really love things that happen that involved redemption. There we go. No spoilers. I didn't say any spoilers. But I didn't even mention it. But I forgot to talk about Jack. Oh my goodness, I love Jack. Like I said, he is so fun. If I could meet him in real life, I would take that opportunity to go eat lunch with him and just get to know him because he is so funny and I just think he is a great character. He is a perfect balance here to our guy Chemin. And oh, there he is. There's Chemin. But they are just great balance and they are just, they're just so fantastic. And I really liked this guy as well. His name is Rook and he had a very interesting story. I think his character itself is very interesting, and he had very excellent character growth as well. And it was just so much fun, guys. It was so much fun. Like, here's a really fun picture right here of Chem and Rozi and Rook. Like, oh my goodness, that's when things are about to be going down. Well, maybe not going down per se. Here's another really great, cute and picture of Rozi. And fun thing, this manga has so many cats. So many cats. That was very interesting because I'm like, there's cats galore everywhere. There really is. Like, you just can't get enough of them. I guess a good example of that, too, is that there's cats on the cover of Volume 3. Are there cats in the volume? Oh, yep. And a cat right here on Volume 2. Yep. And then there's cats right there in the background right here as well. So cats, cats, cats. Flipping through it, I guess I should say too, you guys know I don't do horror. I've mentioned it before. I'm a huge chicken. I'm a very big scaredy cat, and I will say this is a paranormal, maybe. I feel like it's like fantasy meets a little bit supernatural. It does have maybe a little bit of paranormal, very, very low key. So I would say like this is a good one for like if you sort of don't mind very, very light horror elements and the possibility of being a little bit afraid, because there was one chapter. I was glad I read that during the day. I'm not even gonna lie. I think this is a little bit too creepy for me, just a little bit. Let me see if I can find here's a good one right here. This chapter here with this creature person, he's an imp, so I guess he's not a person, but that gave me the willies a little bit, made me a little bit nervous, and I was like, I'm glad for the sunlight because I'm not gonna get scared. Now, if I was reading it that night, yes. Yeah, I'd be a little bit paranoid. But, oh, look at this cute picture of Rozi. She's so precious. She's so cute. There are so many panels of this cuteness, of her beautiful, sweet face. Just, it's so cute. You can't help but smile at her. But, yeah, I think outside of that one chapter, everything else was fine. It only had really light, spooky overtones. Like I said, very light. I think this is a good one, especially like maybe when it gets closer to Halloween, you're like, well, I'm wanting something a little bit spooky, but not something that's going to terrify me and make me super paranoid. This is a really good series for that. I feel like it's less maybe creepy. I wouldn't even call it creepy. I mean, you have Rozi. Rozi offsets any like scary elements of this manga except for that one chapter. Rozi couldn't quite offset that, and I could not blame Mer for being afraid of them. Like, they are really weird, Mer. They really are weird. But everything in this story, every character that you meet, every weird mystery element of the labyrinth, that you meet has a purpose. It has a place. It will come back. It will come back. And even though this is a short series and it's not like One Piece where like the foreshadowing is mind-blowing 100 volumes later, I still feel for these 3 short volumes that it is fascinating to see how things we saw at the beginning make a comeback at the end, or things from the second volume that make a comeback at the end in a way I was not expecting, in a way I was not prepared for. I'm sorry, guys, if you guys hear that noise in the background. I'm so sorry. And let's just take another moment to appreciate this final cover. It's so beautiful. I love the back. I really just love everything about this. And it was this, like I said, this last volume, it really did me in. It really did. All these characters grow so much. And I just was like, man, you're really... Sorry, I was skimming through and I said, nope, we got to close that page because that's where the tear work started to hit last night when I was reading this manga. So, but I loved Rozi and the Labyrinth. And again, I am so thankful that Maeve gave me this recommendation because it's one I will definitely come back to. I feel like it just spoke to me a lot on a personal level about always being hopeful. And again, how it's never in vain. And it's a very fun read. It's not all super deep, but I do feel like the metaphors are just very powerful, but blend in so beautifully with the actual story that it's just great. To me, as a writer and storyteller, this is absolutely inspiring fiction that makes you want to dig deeper as a storyteller and tell those kinds of stories that are not overwhelming in promoting a certain message or saying a certain thing, but where it all comes together so beautifully and just impacts you by the end, impacts you with these wonderful characters, and that good always triumphs. Light always wins. It is a beautiful story. And I will stop there because I feel like I'm repeating myself. Oh, wait, the art was absolutely gorgeous. Here is an interesting character. I actually liked her. She is known as the witch because she wields the mysteries of the labyrinth. She doesn't look quite that creepy though. Like if you see her with her eyes closed, she looks better. Let's see. Let me find one. Here we go. See? She looks less creepy there, but she is a fun character. I really liked her as well. She plays a role through the whole thing. Here's Jack. Look at Jack. He's so precious. Oh, I love Jack. He's so great. I could read more about Jack just because he's awesome. But the art is absolutely amazing. There are panels that I just absolutely love that I felt were stunning. Like this one right here. Boom. Always with Chemin. Chemin has some really good pages. He just looks so incredibly epic here. This was a good chapter that goes right back to things that happened in volume 3 that were excellent. Okay, now I'm officially at the end. I love this series so much. Definitely 5 stars. Definitely one I want to come back and reread again, especially this ending volume because I was just so encouraged. Don't give up on the world, friends. Do not give up on the world. There's always hope. There's love. There's faith. And if you need some encouragement, go check out Rozi. She will lift up your heart. She's a sweet and precious character as well as all of these amazing characters. But I would love to hear from you, friends. Have you guys read Rozi? If not, please go read it. It's amazing. Volume 3 just released this past week. If you haven't read Rozi, what are some manga that have encouraged you and uplifted your heart to just remember to stay strong in hope and in love and in faith? I would love to hear from you, friends. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!